Okay, now we're set up to import our content. Before we begin configuring our importer, let's take a look at the data that we're going to import. So let's hop over to our resource pack directory, and inside of the data to import folder, we're going to open up reviews to import. Now when I open this file, it's going to open it in Excel if I have it enabled because the CSV file has been associated with Excel. But we can also look at this as a plain text file. So if I go back to the resource pack directory, what I'm going to do is drag this file over to a text editor and we'll open it in there. And even though it's a little bit harder to read here, you can see all of the data exposed. So we have our column titles here: name, description, review, giftability, funness, weirdness, image. If we look at the Excel file here, you can see the same headers at the top. And then for each entry, we have the name. In this case, it's remote control helicopter with water cannon. And then we have the product description. In this case, it's kind of long. We have the review. We have the rating of giftability, the rating of funness, the rating of weirdness, and then the name of the image associated with the review. If we look at the text file, you can see the same information here, but because we have new lines as part of the descriptions, it's a little harder to read. But you can see the comma starts right here, and then we start showing the additional information about this particular review. So each review is on its own line, minus any lines that are inside of the content. And these extra lines are actually captured inside of a quote. So anytime there's a quote around these additional new lines, that indicates that they're not part of a new record. I mention this just in case you set up a CSV file yourself in order to import it. Now, one other quick thing to note is that if you edit this in Excel and make any modifications, for example, you're using this as a source file to create your own import of content for another project you're working on, you want to make sure to save this as a Windows separated value file. So if I go to File and I go to Save As in Excel, you have some options of how to save it. So right now it would save it as separated values, but this isn't what we want. So if we scroll down here, you see Windows separated here, and that's the one you want to use. Otherwise it might not import correctly into the feeds module. Now there's a couple of questions you might have at this point. For example, how do we get this name of a file to actually point to a real file on the server? That's a good question, and we'll address that shortly. And also, each one of these entries includes information that will get pulled into a product node and also to a product review node. So what we're going to have to do is to create two separate importers that pull different data from each one of these rows into Drupal to create separate nodes from.